Perfect.
What's up, you guys? Community member interview this time around with Mr. Dennis. Dennis is actually out of Turkey. Dennis, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course, man. Happy to be here.
So, if you're watching this video, you probably saw like title, thumbnail, or post somewhere of what Dennis has been able to achieve in his current role, which is, it's kind of where I think a lot of people getting into this space would like to be. So, I just wanted to sit down with Dennis for more than a few minutes here and kind of take it back, see how he got there, see how ultimately, he got connected where he was and the experience so far. So Dennis, you just told me you have a crazy story, man. I haven't heard it yet. What is your story?
Dude, my story, I gotta take it back a little bit for it to make sense to people because people are probably wondering, like, hey, this guy's based out of Turkey, but like, he sounds super American. Like, what the hell? So, let me put a little bit of background on that. I played basketball my entire life. Going into high school, like in Turkey, like going into ninth grade, I actually played for like the best team in Turkey for like the past 3 years. And they were like, yo man, like we wanted to sign a semi-pro contract, basically play in the G League of Turkey, like turn pro. But they were like, but you won't go to high school because like you might go to like an entire another city like on a Tuesday to play like a road game. And at that point, I was like, I don't think I can do life without high school education. Like, I'm one ACL tear away from like a total bum. And at that time, a buddy of mine got like a scholarship to play in Canada. So I went there for ninth grade. Basketball wasn't good enough in Canada. Like, I averaged like 20 points a game as a freshman. I was like, shit, like, there's kind of a ceiling there as far as competition and getting a scholarship. Then 10th grade, moved to the US. At the end of high school, I ended up like dropping basketball for like that's a whole other story self. I'll tell it to you another time. Then went to college in the US. Then after that, it's like the work visa became a problem for me because I majored in like exercise physiology, which is like a very narrow thing. It's like none of the work visas would support it because it would not align with what I studied. Moved back to Canada for a year, then decided to come back to Turkey because I was like, I'm tired of like all this visa bullshit that's going on. And when I moved back to Turkey, I started like freelance like marketing when I was in Canada like the last 8 months, kind of building up. Saw like the Ty Lopez videos, kind of like the SMMA stuff, kind of got into Facebook ads and things like that there. Then I was working with like a CBD startup for like a year and a half while I was freelancing. It was very good for me because living in Turkey is cheap, where you can take a lot of risks. That's initially why I moved here because I was like, look, man, like I'm 23, turning 24. I'm not young like most of the guys on Money Twitter in high ticket sales. Like I just turned 27 like 2 months ago. But when I moved back, I was like, okay, I gotta figure it out. The freelancing there, but I was capped out as far as like the amount of time that I put into something and like the amount that I get paid. It's like I get paid by the hour. And that's when I found out Money Twitter. I think like a lot of people get referred to it by a friend and things like that. I have to give like a huge shout out to Chase Dimon. I followed him on LinkedIn, and I just kept like seeing him posting the screenshots of his tweets. And on like a random Gary V like podcast episode, I heard him talk about a lot of people hanging out on Twitter. I was like, shit, dude, like, let me figure that out. I created like a new Twitter account to like train the algorithm to do it. I followed Chase Dimon, then, dude, I found out Money Twitter like 4 months, like 3 months into coming back to Turkey. I was like, holy shit, I've been looking for like this community for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And I finally found out that place. And I kept doing like freelance marketing on the side, but I was like, I hate not talking to people. I'm a super talkative person, like in my nature. I was like, I want to do something where I can talk to people all day. That wouldn't drain me. I would actually love it.
Mhm.
Then start seeing like high ticket sales, high ticket sales, high ticket sales. Then beginning of, let me think about it. Beginning of 2022, that's when I bought like my first course in high ticket sales. Not a great ROI there. I paid like 2 grand for it, but like I'm not dreading it because it set me on the right path. then kind of going like back and forth with it. I work part time with some offers. I would say, dude, like in high ticket sales, if your first offer actually paid you, you're lucky. Like the first job that you worked, if it paid you any money, you're lucky. I've worked for this company for a month, being like a DM setter, hitting up people on like Facebook groups, didn't get paid anything. I had to leave there. Then I got a setting job. I had to do my army service in Turkey. Funny enough, in Turkey, you have to do an army service. It's mandatory. Did that for like 2 months. When I came back, had a setting gig for a while on the side, but that's where like I was like, okay, I gotta go full in on sales. Then I joined another sales program while I only had like maybe $1,000 left. But I was just like, look, dude, I'm gonna do sales. That's the only thing that I want to do, however long it takes. Got in there. Thanks to the gentleman that let me in. Like I told him my entire financial situation. I'm like, look, man, I have to do payment plan, but I really want to do this. I already got a little bit of experience. Then they linked me up. Started as a triage setter. Started moving up, moving up, moving up. I broke the company record for 2 months. The amount of like closed calls set back to back. And at the beginning, I told the owner, I'm like, hey, I want to close, dude. Like that's what I want to do. He moved me up, quickly got up to like 65% closing rate because at that point I already set for like 2.5 months. I kept listening to the closing calls, got ready for it. Then call volume was an issue. Like I got paid half the money I did as a closer versus when I was a setter. Then that's where I was like, all right, man, I gotta find something else. But at that point, like I was sitting like 4K months as a triage setter, which was great because like living in Turkey, that's like 2, 3 months of living expenses. But then left that, then joined that B2C offer for like 3 weeks. Then at the end, I was like, screw this, like I'm not doing this. From B2B to B2C, when you go there, it's like totally a different field. Then, dude, like after I left that offer, I remember I would always listen to your podcast when I was at the gym. And every time I listened to it, it really resonated with me. And just like talk, like hearing the way you talk, I think that's why YouTube and stuff works very good for top of the funnel because just people hearing you speak kind of builds that trust. That's what I had with you. I think you remember it's like I came in and like at that point your community was like you either pay per month or you pay the VIP. And
Yeah.
I was like, look, man, I listened to his podcast. I like his vibe. He seems like a very genuine person. I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do VIP for 500 bucks. And at that time, I think I had like maybe 2K to like 2.5K in there. But for some reason, you know that like urge inside of you, you're like, hey man, I feel like this is gonna go to a good place. That's kind of what I had. Then we hopped one on one with you because like for VIP members it was like one free call with you. Then kind of like we chopped it up. Then a week and a half later you actually posted the job posting in VIP, which like I'm currently working for right now. And it was funny because I was always like, damn dude, like I just turned like like I was 26 at the time. I was about to turn 27, and it specifically said we were looking for somebody older because like my crowd is not going to play well with people that are young because you're selling to people that are like 30 to 55 years old. Then went in there, had a very good vibe with the business owner, even though the offer has been up for like 2 months. I really liked what they sold too. And
Hmm.
going into it, it was not just like, hey, I can make money from this. I actually want to go in there, build a very good relationship with the guy running like the offer, and potentially be able to do it myself. I was
Yeah.
always in high ticket sales space. I'm like, look, if these offers are so good, like, dude, if you're closing for them, why don't you do it? Like, if you're closing an e-com offer, if it's so good, why are you not a product of the product? Then
Mm.
like I had that first conversation with him, I was like, look, I can be a product of the product. And that's what it really led me to picking that offer and going in, and it's obviously played well ever since.
Yeah. Being that it was, you said the offer had been around for about 2.5 months before you jumped on, and at that point they just had an appointment setter who I actually connected over there, and it was, they're still figuring things out, but besides like you just being interested in that niche, what were some of the other things that convinced you to join this when it was so early on?
Hmm. I think the biggest thing that I asked the offer was like, hey, dude, like, what's your vision? Because, like, he's doing the coaching himself. I'm like, look, you're going to get capped out at some point. And when you get capped out, like, what's going to happen? I think, like, one of my biggest things about high ticket sales has always been, like, integrity, because there's a lot of offers that just don't deliver. I'm like, look, man, like, before I can sell for you, I have to be bought in on the idea of that, number one, you're going to take care of these people. Number two, it's like the offer's legit and like you're getting results. If you can prove me those two things, then dude, I'll do whatever in my power to sell for you. But if you're not on the same page with that, I can't sell for you because like I'm a very honest person in my daily life myself. It's like it's
Yeah.
against my core beliefs. And I think we really resonated with each other at that point, and the offer owner actually really liked the fact that I brought it up. And he's like, all right, dude, like I think we align very much there. And I could see that he's a smart guy. I really believe that he can figure it out. And with my marketing background, I was like, look, I don't know how much of this you have set up for like your sales side of the things, but like I can help out there as well. I just came in leading with a lot of value, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were in, you said the beginning of 2022 is when you came around to the idea of high ticket sales, and then this job you accepted about 3 months ago, you said? So it was about a year and
Yeah.
a half of like, well, you said you did army, like
Mhm.
military service, but you were kind of bouncing around offer to offer, like making money, but like not, you hadn't really like broke through yet. Um, can you
Mhm.
speak on, I don't know, can you speak on the difficulty of like finding a good offer?
Yeah, dude, I can because here's the thing, like number one, dude, if you're based out of the US, like you just have to realize that you have such an unfair advantage because like I'm based out of Turkey. It's like in your time right now is Central Time, so you're at like 10:30. For me, it's like 6:30 in the afternoon. A lot of people just want people based out of US and Canada. So I would even have problems hopping on like the interviews because people would be like, "Oh, you're not based out of the U.S." I know why they're picking people from the U.S. because they want you to sound American. I'm like, brother, listen to the way that I speak. It's like I sound American. We don't have a problem with that. That was number one thing. The second one is, I guess it's like one thing I love that you preach is vetting out offers because when you hop on interviews, dude, like in order to hire you, they're gonna say whatever. Like they're going to
Yeah.
have a lot of unrealistic expectations. Like I had it with like two, three offers before. They like the first offer that I really got onto that was legit. The guy was like, "Hey man, like your OT is like 7K. At minimum, you'll make like 3 to 4K." I worked with him for like 1 month. My pay, I swear to God, my paycheck was like $600.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, "Hey man, like you kind of set up those expectations. It's like 600 bucks per month. Like I worked full time for a month. I'm like, how do you expect me to make a living off of this? So there's some offer owners where they have very unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. And I mean, before we started recording, we were kind of talking about where the offer that you're on is at. You said like you just closed out a lot of pipeline. Last 2 weeks, you earned like 10 grand alone. When you interviewed with offer owner,
Hmm.
was the OTE anything in the ballpark of, hey, you're going to make 10 grand in 2 weeks?
The funny thing was they wrote the OT as 20 to 25K a month,
Hmm.
and I was like, huh. Funny enough, we hired a consultant that's from my network. I actually, we know him, Dev. I actually met Dev in like Istanbul. He came to like where I live for like a conference, and I
Yeah.
actually met him the day after I accepted this offer, and he helped us out a little bit there. The first 3 weeks, I almost wanted to quit because like I only made like 3K in like 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks that I got started, but at the same time, it's like, dude, there's no case studies, right? It's hard. There's nothing as far as sales calls that you can emulate. Like when you join a team that has the
Hmm.
process down, you can emulate it. Like the guy that we just onboarded, the other closer, like I literally sent him like 7 calls that I closed. And the guy's like, dude, thank you so much. Like that's kind of what I needed. I'm like, yeah, I wish I had that when I came on board, man. Nothing was set up. Like there was no
Yeah.
pitch deck, nothing. So the first 3 weeks were rough. I only made like 3K. Then the guy we were working with, he was like, dude, just be patient. Like this is a good offer. Then the next
Yeah.
month, July, I made like 12K. Then last month I made right around 18. But I don't think that actually it depends. I'll probably hit 18 again, but I don't think that I'll hit 18 this month.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how these offers work for the sales reps and the business owners. It's like because it's so new, you push, 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 get to a peak, and then you like maybe something breaks, something's not fixed, like dialed in, and then you let your foot off the gas a little bit, take a little dip, and then you push again, right? And, I'm sure you were working hard for the 18K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's it's been cool to see that offer spin up from like an idea basically because I mean I've helped them get that first setter in and then connected them with you and then now the new closer who you just said closed like 4 deals in week one or something.
Yeah,
um
he closed two, but I was like, damn, that's good, dude. And like the new closer that we brought on, he's even older than me. He's like 35. He's been in the space for a while. He has like a huge finance background.
yeah, yeah, so it's still early, man. Like this is something where I realistically see it getting to like a 5-person closing team. It's still really early, especially when those case studies start rolling out. I think what stands out to me and why I was like so happy to like plug guys into this is one, the guy who's running it. Well, one, the niche we were talking about this. The niche is like it's a bigger money niche, right? You're selling to people who have money, who are looking to like multiply it, right? Versus like taking someone from 0 to 1, like let's say selling e-commerce stuff to an 18-year-old kid. You're taking people from like 5 to 10, right? So it's just by nature, it's easier. And then two, the gentleman who runs the thing, like he's just legit. Like he's not flashing Lambos and he's like he's just a real guy, and he's running a real operation and that was super attractive. Dude, honestly, if I was like a free agent at the time, I may have hopped onto it. Like that's how good of an offer that I thought it was. Um, but no, dude, I'm like happy to be able to connect guys into that. Um, and he's come back to me a few times just like, hey, I think we're ready for the next guy. And I mean, I've obviously got enough guys to pass that on to, which I'm happy to do. But I know we're kind of want to just be diligent of time here. I know you've got a call soon. As far as the community and like your experience so far, I mean, a big thing I always preach, man, is like in this high ticket sales space, it's underground. You're not going to find these jobs on Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever. Like, how valuable is it besides just like the exclusive like job opportunities and stuff? Like, how valuable is it to have that network of guys that are just doing this right alongside you?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's like I connected with a couple guys on there before I hopped on this offer. I was gonna hop on to that fundraising offer almost. Like I connected with those guys. They were good. Their systems were not super set in place, and that's why I was like, maybe not this one. That's why I moved on to the next one. But I think it's like huge to be a part of like any of these communities. Like I couldn't tell you like how many of them I paid for. The thing is that like this is all about like networking, man. It's all about like who you know, pretty
Yeah,
much. Because what I figured out is like the best offers, dude, like they don't get posted online. It doesn't get posted to like some influencer's like IG story that he's looking for a closer. It's always like
yeah,
either they're going back to their team being like, hey man, like we're looking for another closer, like you know anybody good? Or like they go to somebody like you and they're like, hey, like I need a good closer, man. Like can you recommend somebody? There's always that like
yeah,
intermediate person that's usually like sourcing the opportunities because like the business owner kind of trusts them as far as, hey, like if I go to this guy, he's gonna get me somebody good.
yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely doable without any of that stuff. It's just you're going to go through so much more trial and error, and like, when you're in sales, time is money. It's like, would you rather spend 3 to 6 months, like 3 to 6 months, jumping on back-to-back offers that aren't what they seem, stuff like that, or would you rather just make it happen in like 1 or 2 months, and then also get connected to all people who are already doing this? I mean, the offer you're on now is like it's cooking, man. It's good, but if let's say next month offer owner says, "Hey Dennis, sorry man, we're shutting it down," like that you could go back to these communities that you're a part of and the people and like with the results that you have, you'd get hired, right? Without that,
Exactly.
especially in commission only like contracted sales work like this, like dude, it's easy to get put in a tough spot. So that network, man, it's like everything that I preach, to be honest.
Yeah, dude. Like I see that over and over again. It's like I listen to your podcast. You would preach about there a lot too, and I'm like 100%, dude. It's like it's all about who you know because like you see this a lot too. It's like somebody would hop on an offer, then like 3 months later, something happens. Like they might need to hop on another offer. It's like maybe the offer was hot, it cooled down, and like operations cannot figure it out. It's like a lot of things
Yeah.
can happen, right? So it's like you gotta have that
Yep.
network. It's like now I know. I'm like, all right, man. If anything happened here, like I would just hit up Dylan and like see what's up. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
And and
Like
it
I have
goes
like a
like
couple of
it goes
guys
the other way
where
around too.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
it
hope
goes the other way
offer
around
touches
just as
on
much.
it, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seems like it's still early. Like, I expect it to continue to grow. And then you being the first closer in there, like sales manager, it might be in the picture, man. Who
It
knows?
might be. The
Um,
thing is, like, I'm actually doing a move that I don't like, as I was kind of mentioning, it's like, why are you not a product of the product, right? Um, and the thing is, for 2.5 months, dude, like, I think I've been working like 50-hour weeks, 60-hour weeks, maybe. Because since nothing was built out, like, I was taking the sales calls, I was building the pre-call marketing, I was building all the sales assets, and like, we would hire outside consultants to get their ideas. The thing is, I would go to the meetings with them, I would have everything with them, whatever they gave us, I would set it up and optimize everything. And my biggest goal was like, I want to do what this guy is doing. And funny enough, I'm gonna start my journey on what our offer is actually offering like this week. That was my
yeah,
biggest goal. Like I'm literally gonna be a product of the product. And now I'm
yeah.
going into like a different space where I'm like, all right, I built out the sales system for us to be able to run the closing part of it. Now I'm actually gonna go through the entire program myself and I'm gonna optimize how we get our students results by just being a
Mm,
product of the product. I think that's the next thing in the picture for me.
yeah. So for those of you who are listening, you can tell that, Dennis is clearly working hard, but he's like going above and beyond, and like it looks really good with the team that he's on. It looks really good with like guys like me and guys similar who, if Dennis is ever in a position where he needs something and I know he can close, he can get results, he has a resume and he goes above and beyond. He's top of the list for guys that I would recommend to some of these business owners. So um, yeah, man, a lot of these guys get sold into high ticket sales because it's like laptop on the beach, work 2 hours a
Yeah,
day, take two calls, close one, make $1,000, and it can be that, but like it is getting increasingly more difficult for it to be that. And honestly,
yeah,
to make 20, 18 grand a month, you're not gonna do it taking two calls a day. It's gonna take a little bit more than that.
you're not. The thing is, dude, people just think that way, and I really don't mind it because the thing is that like it just really opens up the floor for the real killers. I kind of hate it for the business owners because like you really have to be able to dig out those guys. Like, bro, look at this. The thing is, like, I'll kind of show you around. Like, most people take like a call like in their bedroom or like a spare room or things like that. But I got like a whole like office in my house. It's like, bro, it's like I take this shit very seriously, and I think that's what people need to do, man. I think
Yeah.
I heard retirement keys. What's his name? Grant talk about. He's like,
Yep.
dude, do whatever like you're gonna do in life, like it's your life's mission. I think I just go
Yeah.
by that, man, because another thing is like I feel like if you achieve like a 10K month like very fast, like in your first 3 months, you're just not gonna appreciate it. It took me give or take like 6, 7 months to be able to find this offer, maybe even 8 months. It's like the more shit that you eat until you get to the spot where you want to be at, the more you appreciate it. Like when I found this opportunity, I was like, dude, I'm gonna go all in. This is the moment that I've been waiting for. And
Yeah.
like throughout the entire time, it's like there was a month where I made like $1,500 from sales. I just kept it in my mind. I was like, dude, one day, like 1 month, I'm gonna make 10K. 1 month, I'm gonna make
Right.
15K. 1 month, I'm gonna make 20K. Like as long as you keep that
Yeah.
goals, like North Star up, and like you're always thinking about it, dude, and you're just working hard, you're gonna get there. But like the timing is up to God and like what you're kind of putting in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of guys, if they were in your spot, making 1,500, 3 grand, it's like, dude, I bought these courses. Why am I not making 20K yet? They would have just given up. They would have gone on to the next thing, right? But it's like when you start to meet people who are making 10, 15, 20K a month, you know it's possible. It's just like it's only a matter of time until it's your turn. And so again, going back to the network, um, it just makes it so much easier to go through the highs and the lows. Like you being in that office, I work out of my apartment here. If you're just doing this by yourself, it gets lonely, man. It does. Like if you're just back to back to back calls all day, and maybe you're not where you want to be. Like, dude, mentally it's taxing, and it's hard to stay in the game. Now, if you're making like more money than you ever have with this new opportunity, like that's a little bit easier to manage, even if you are like working your ass off. But man, there's highs and lows to this, right? And
There's
as many
burnout
highs
too.
as you're gonna have, you're also gonna have burnout. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, just getting connected to guys who are doing this, like Dennis, like myself. Like I'm still closing as well. Um, it's invaluable, man. So I don't want to hold you too much longer. One piece of advice for guys who have like seen this high ticket sales stuff out there. What would you tell them?
I would say, dude, there's a lot of like FOMO marketing out there, but like any coaching industry stuff ever. It's like, dude, it's not as easy as people make it seem. Like they're trying to get you top of the funnel. So it's not going to be as easy as people claim it is. Um, it's like, dude, you really have to stick around to reap the rewards. If you think about like, the first course that I bought in high ticket sales is beginning of January last year. It's been a year and a half before I made like, 10K a month money in it. I just stuck with it longer. It's like the results that you're
Yeah,
expecting might take a long time to achieve. But the thing is that it's going to be worth it. And I think it just all depends on like if you like sales too. Like, dude, if
yeah,
you like sales, if you like talking to people, like if you can do this, you can stick with this longer. It's like whenever I was triage setting, I was making $1,500 a month. I was still like, dude, I love making money in sales. I love talking to people. Like I
hmm,
genuinely like what I'm doing. So I was willing to stick
yeah.
with it.
And it only takes that one like breakthrough experience to now go and like you're pretty much going to be eligible for any closing role because of what you've been able to do here. Whether it took 3 months, 6 months, a year and a half, like it's now on your resume and like what like nobody can take that from you. I think truly once you get that first breakthrough experience, like it just gets way easier. But until you get that, you kind of do have to eat shit, and you probably are going to end up on offers that aren't what you think they are. And it's just what it is. Like, would you rather do that, or you want to go work, some huge corporate company with managers breathing down your back and you don't even make that much money? It's like pick, pick your poison.
Yeah, and it's not always about the money, man. I
So
feel like at the beginning it's about like what you can get out of it as an experience. I remember like the first real triage job that I had, like dude, they would book me a very good amount of like triage calls on my calendar. But the thing is that at that point I knew that I needed reps. And that's one good thing about living in like a developing country, man. It costs $1,500 a month for me to live. At that time, that's what it was. I'm like, look, man, as long as I can make like 1K, 1.2K, like I can tighten up my budget, like I can live off of 1K a month. But I knew that I needed the experience. I think a lot of people just expect to get handed over 10K a month without really having the skills. It's like
Yeah.
it's still an arbitrage like business, dude. It's like if you don't have the skills, you cannot make 10K a month.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does become a situation of like, how do I get the skills if I can't get hired? It's just like, dude, just keep going. Just keep
Mm.
going. That's literally it. Like the only people that I'd see not get to a point of like good income and high ticket sales is just because they didn't keep going. That's literally it. Or maybe they found something else that they liked and pursued that. But like everyone that I know over the last like 2 years who I've seen like stay in it as long as I've been at it myself, they're all doing very well for themselves, which is cool to see. So
Yeah. I think the biggest thing you said is the breakthrough. You've met a lot of
yeah,
guys too. Like I met people that hit their breakthrough like after the first month and a half because they just got plugged in with a great opportunity. Where like it was kind of like early on, like the owner was very good at sales and like they trained them to say every single line on the script. And I have a friend that's been selling for the same offer for like a year now. The dude is constantly making 20K a month, but he did not have that much experience in high ticket sales. He had door to door experience, and he
yeah,
showed the business owner that like he's willing to learn. The business owner corrected every single line, and how he says with his tonality to increase his close rate. Then he had his breakthrough. But like somebody like me, bro, it happened in a year and a half. It's like, how long are
yeah,
you willing to stick with it?
yeah, yeah, man. So there's a lot of guys out there talking about high ticket sales, and they're like, it's the easiest thing ever. Anybody can do it. It's like, at the end of the day, man, it's a sales job. Like, just like normal sales jobs, there's a lot of bad ones out there. There's a lot of ones out there where you're not going to get paid. The hard, like the good ones to get, they're hard to land. You have to have the skills, and like, how do you get that? You just start and you don't stop. And clearly, you are now reaping the rewards of doing that. And you mentioned earlier, like you're in Turkey, it was probably more difficult because of that, right? But now, the fact that you're in Turkey, given your results, I think people are going to be more willing to look past it should you ever have to go and like find a new opportunity, right?
Yeah, it's like your results, man. It's like I literally have a library of like 40, 50 calls that I've closed. It's like, bro, like, are you
Yeah.
concerned about it? Let me send you this entire library. You can listen to 50 hours of me closing people if you want.
Undeniable, man. That's awesome. I need to put something together like that. I don't even have like I have calls saved, but I don't have 50 hours of stuff put together. So that's smart, man. Um, all right, man. I don't want to make you late to your next call, but truly, I do
No.
appreciate you hopping on. It was good to hear more of your background because honestly, I didn't know up until this point. Like we've chatted, but it's always been in like a sales context. Um,
Yeah.
I where's like the best platform if people want to reach out to you? Is it Twitter or X?
Twitter, yeah, X. I have to look at my handle, dude. I don't ever like really talk about it because like I feel like a lot of
Okay.
people in money Twitter, it's like they tell their friends about it, and their friends are like, "What the hell is even that?" And you're like, "Yeah." It's like only if you knew your life might change forever. But my handle on X is Dio Torrentino. It's like you guys can. Dylan follows me. You guys can find me on there.
Yeah. I'll link it below. But yeah, if you guys are coming off of like YouTube or Instagram and you're not on money Twitter and you're trying to do this like online business thing or more specifically high ticket sales, you got to get on there, man. So follow Dennis, follow me if you're not already. Um, and if you join the community, you'll see us in there. So
Yeah, join the
Dennis, appreciate
community,
you coming on, man.
of
Join
course,
join
man.
the
Thank
community.
you.
Yeah. Alrighty. Take care.
You too, man. Bye.